All right, I will be providing some directions on the presentation of questions, and I think we're all set. We're ready to begin. So I will present the first question, starting with candidate 1.
Me again?
Yes, you again.
Okay.
All right, using any number of metrics, Rhode Island ranks in the top 10 in terms of state financial support for K through 12 public education, but ranks in the bottom 10 for higher education support. Why do you think higher education has been relatively underfunded in Rhode Island? And also, what, if anything, will you do about this?
Honestly, I don't know why Rhode Island is underfunded. And what I can say is I will always tell you when I don't know. It's something that I would certainly like the answer to. I don't believe we should ever be. I can say Rhode Island is also, I know South Kingstown, our schools are at the bottom of the funding formula. And that's a concern. That's a huge concern to our communities. And we need to figure out a way to bring some of that money back in. All of our schools have been hurt by this. And that's something that I believe we really need to work to resolve. As far as the higher education, I would certainly like to get a collaboration. I would like to hear what our educators feel. I would like to, whenever you bring a group of community members together to sit together and bring the experts and try to resolve these issues, you can come up with good, strong ideas to bring back to the State House, and that's what I would try to do. Thank you.
Candidate 2.
Thank you very much. For too long, our state has taken programs and departments and many of our success stories, and instead of maintaining them and investing them in them, we've chosen to raid them. And it's not just in tough times, it's also in good times. And then a crisis occurs, and we find that we must fund them again. We've seen this over and over and over. We cross our fingers and hope that they can recover after devastating cuts years after year. And we are all familiar with this story. It happened with our pension system. It happened with mental health. We used to have some of the best mental health programs in the entire country. We were a star in this field. We saw it with infrastructure. We've been dead last in infrastructure for decades. And now we're rapidly approaching that with education. And this downward spiral that we all witness time and again on different topics and different playing fields, it leads to crisis and then a rebuilding. And I think that this is a huge factor in why Rhode Island has failed to recover when we get hit by a downturn in the economy. And I think it's this short-sightedness, this inability for leadership and elected officials alike to make difficult decisions about cuts in necessary places that may be unpopular with voters. We, at times, have to raise taxes in order to continue to make investment. And it's never the automatic go-to, but you need someone in the office to be able to make those kinds of decisions. You need someone who's willing to make unpopular decisions, to be able to make those investments and make improvements. Someone who has the courage, quite frankly, to do so. When it comes to higher education, I am committed to increasing the funding and to make sure that this great public asset in the university that we have deteriorates no further and is able to be competitive with our private institutions in the state that have unbelievable endowments. I'm planning on fighting for increased funding for higher ed. I have met with the president of the university and multiple provosts and vice presidents on just this issue. And I've also let leadership know that this is going to be one of my top priorities next year. And being on House Finance, having the seniority that I do, actually being the only person on House Finance in all of Washington County, I'm in a perfect position to be able to effectively advocate for these policies. And when it comes to investing in universities, it's not just about the quality of the education, it's about college affordability overall, because we can have great institutions that serve the public, but they're meaningless to a portion of the population when they're inaccessible and unaffordable. So we have to also hold the line on tuition, which is something that we have done as a General Assembly for the last several years. So I just have committed to the university to continue to fight for these investments and look forward to doing so if reelected. Thank you.
Candidate 3.
Well, I guess all I have to say is everything in Rhode Island has traditionally been underfunded, and that's pretty much a fact, and it's unfortunate because that's how we end up in the issues that we are in, including infrastructure, education now. I believe that education is important, and it's an important focus, but we need to focus on areas that we can provide savings for in the budget. And again, as I mentioned before, the healthcare budget is a large segment of that. And I think there's ways of finding savings and opportunities in healthcare and then passing along those savings for that. But again, I sit on the college advisory board for pharmacy, and I also have education from Rhode Island. I have a public school education, and I think it's important to give our kids that great education so that they can be successful and have opportunities in the state. Thank you.
Thank you.